Statesville.
Oh my goodness, we are back. I feel comfortable again. Oh, I can stand up, I can move around. If you're on the app, the WSIC News app, you can see me finally, free from a seat. I'm up again, I got my feet under me, we're moving around. The energy, I can feel the energy is there. That's what happens, sitting down versus standing up. The energy just isn't there when you're sitting down. Now that I'm standing up again, I feel like I could talk for 5 hours to you guys. How's everyone doing on this beautiful Tuesday? You're listening to the Scoreboard. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. We'll chat any kind of sports over the next hour, and if you want to call in and bring something to my attention, ask me a question, debate me. I mean, I really don't care what you want to do. If you want to call in, you can call in 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. A lot going on in the world of sports, not only in the professional realm, but also college, as the College World Series trucks on last night. NC State playing the only game 3 of the night. They got it done with an 8-5 victory. That put them into the College World Series group play double elimination bracket. So here's how things shake out. Virginia, UNC, Florida State, and Tennessee are bracket number 1. Bracket number 2 is NC State, Kentucky, Florida, and Texas A&M. There's a chance we could have a UNC-NC State College World Series. Whoo, that would be wonderful now, wouldn't it? We'll continue to talk about the College World Series as things progress. Nothing tonight. We're only a day removed from the Super Regionals, so we got some time before these games start on the 14th. That's little later on this week on Friday. So I won't be here to preview those for you, in case you haven't heard. Yes, I won't be here for the remainder of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I will be out of town tomorrow. You're going to hear from Patrick Reynolds, the host of the Home Ad Show, as he's going to take over the Scoreboard with his plenty of not only motorsport knowledge, but he does have some other sports knowledge. But I know it's going to be a motorsport-heavy show tomorrow, so make sure you're prepared for that. In the meantime, we have a caller into the studio here early in segment number 1. Caller, you're on the Scoreboard. What do you got for me today?
Good afternoon, Joe Berg. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. Are you excited about the College World Series?
Yeah, I get to call in and brag about my Tar Heels some more there, huh?
I had a feeling I'd hear from you.
Yeah, they might as well call it the all ACC SEC tournament, huh?
Might as well.
4-4.
Man, it's pretty interesting to see how things shook out this year.
Yeah, those have been the dominant 2 conferences all season long, so now it's time for a big showdown, I guess. But yeah, hopefully all the ACC teams will rep pretty well, except for maybe the Cavaliers. I hate to see them go down the first round, but we need that to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in the final double elimination series of the World Series. You guys are in bracket number 1, Virginia, Florida State, and Tennessee. Who are you most concerned about?
Yeah, I mean, they're all at this point. I mean, everybody's a capable team, I think. I think Florida State's really good. And, if Carolina can get by Virginia, I mean, Virginia's no slouch. I think they beat Tar Heels 2 out of 3 at Virginia, I believe, earlier this year, where they played in the regular season. If memory serves me correct, I think that's what it was. But so, I guess it's winner moves on, right? Like each bracket. So if Carolina wins, and then whoever the winner of the Tennessee, Florida State would be, then they'd match up, and then you got to keep playing until you lose two kind of scenario.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So whoever wins North Carolina, Virginia will take on the winner of Tennessee, Florida State. The two losers of those games will play each other for a second chance. Me personally, I'm not a fan of the bracket and the double elimination, best of three, back to a double elimination, back to a best of three. But that is how it works out. We're doing double elimination right now. North Carolina taking on Virginia this Friday, 2:00. It's an early game for a Friday afternoon.
Yeah. I guess they're just trying to pack a lot in there, get TV time for afternoon and the evening, 7:00 games and stuff. But yeah, hopefully ACC will do well, and at least one of those teams I'd like to see come out. Hopefully the Tar Heels can finally win it. They were pretty strong there about 15 years or so. They went like 4 straight years back in the mid to late 2000s, and weren't able to quite pull it out. It always seemed like they were playing against a little bit better team at the time, but maybe they can get it done this year, hopefully.
And I'll tell you what, it'll probably come down to a couple of their sluggers on that team. Parks Harbor, 15 home runs of the year. Casey Cook, 14 on the year. Seems like those two guys right there are going to be the key to the series.
Yeah. So we'll see. Vance Honeycutt, he's known for a hit or two, and he's a really good outfielder. Play some good defense, make some great catches out in the outfield. So maybe they can just keep putting it all together. And that's one good thing I do kind of like about baseball. At least it's not like a one and done. Like in basketball, you can have one bad game, be great all year, but have a bad game, and then you go home. So at least you got a chance, I guess, kind of redeem yourself. Usually, you got to win like 2 out of 3 scenario to move on. So I kind of like that aspect where it seems a little more fair, in case you do have a bad game, somebody gets you.
Yeah, it's a little different than the madness that we experienced in March, but it's definitely going to be crazy in its own right. I appreciate you calling in today, and I'm going to be paying attention to the Tar Heels and all of these baseball games as we head through this final couple of rounds.
Yeah, all right. Well, you enjoy your vacation there, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. I will talk to you next week, and thank you so much for calling in. Starting off heavy on the baseball side of things with that College World Series. And he's right. Whoever wins between North Carolina and Virginia on Friday will take on the winner of Tennessee and Florida. The losers go into that elimination bracket, and then we kind of see how it goes from there. You guys know me. I would much rather it just be a 3-game series, followed by another 3-game series, followed by another 3-game series. But that's not how they want to do it here in the College World Series. I'm just going to say it's weird. I can't change it. And it is weird. But it makes sense the way they do it, the way they separate it in regions. We're not going to spend the day critiquing the College World Series. What we are going to say is UNC, NC State, 2 NC schools with a chance to go and win a College World Series. When we come back from this commercial break, we're going to get into the world of NASCAR. We had some hockey from last night, some news regarding players' injuries in the NBA, and what is to come of the Stewart Haas charters. You're not going to want to miss this show. 844 Studio 4. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Segment 2 on this Tuesday. We're going to get into the world of NASCAR. I'm going to do my best to help everyone out there listening get the preview that they need for Iowa this coming weekend. Yes, you heard me right. It is Iowa for the NASCAR Cup Series. It is the first time in a while for the Cup Series at Iowa, and a lot of drivers are excited. We'll hear from a couple of them. You know what? Let's start out like that. Let's go ahead and hear from Austin Cindric. There was a repave at Iowa, just like there was a repave at Sonoma, but there was a repave at Iowa, turns 3 and 4. Here's what Austin Cindric has to say about that repave and how it's going to affect the cars.
I know they're going to pave over the patchwork in 3 and 4 that's been there for a little while. Obviously, new pavement's going to have grip, and you're going to have to run through it. I think it all just kind of depends on how wide it is. Even at North Wilkesboro last year, that's an extreme example with an extremely old surface. You would put your tire literally on the freshest piece of asphalt, and that would be the racing line, no matter what track shape or geometry would tell you is the correct racing line. It's where the grip is. So I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a favored spot on the racetrack just due to that. But otherwise, I think we're all really excited about going to Iowa.
I'm excited for this weekend's race. It's going to be interesting because only half of the track got the new pavement. Like, how is everybody going to drive that? You're going to have all this grip in 3 and 4. You're going to dive into 1 and 2 and so it's going to be interesting. First time in a while, man. The last time that we had like a Xfinity Series viral moment, I guess you could say, at Iowa Speedway, forever ago. Carl Edwards was in the Xfinity Series at this time. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming to the line on the checkered flag, blew his engine coming out of turn 4. Carl Edwards ran right into the back of him. They wrecked to the line. And Trevor Bayne still got the win. That's really the last time that we had a big moment from the Iowa Speedway. But with the Cup cars going back to Iowa this weekend, it's going to be a fun time, that's for sure. Here is how things shape up for Iowa and the schedule this weekend. On Friday, a lot of action. ARCA, Xfinity, and Cup are all going to be out on the track. Starting at 3 o'clock, practice for ARCA, and then a 4 o'clock qualifying for ARCA. Xfinity practice is at 4:30. Cup practice is at 5:30. And then at 8 o'clock on Friday, it is the ARCA Menards Series Atlas 150. Saturday at noon, qualifying for the Xfinity Series. Saturday at 1 p.m. qualifying for the Cup Series. At 3:30, we have the Hy-Vee Perks 250. That is the Xfinity race. And then on Sunday, it's the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. Race time starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in listening on WSIC, you absolutely can. Coverage of that one begins at 6 o'clock Eastern. And if you're looking for it on the television, well, it's not going to be on Fox. Fox's coverage is done. We can all rejoice. We have made it through another terrible year of Fox. Man, I saw some camera angles and like the battle for the lead and the cameras going crazy, showing absolutely nothing. The Fox TV coverage of NASCAR has gotten worse, and it's gotten worse, and it's gotten worse. It's just terrible at this point. I'm very glad that we go to NBC. Now, there's some changes with NBC. Dale Jr.'s not in the booth. He's going to be in the booth next year for either Amazon or TNT. I'm not sure which. By the way, before I forget, because I've thought about this a lot, the play-by-play announcer for one of Amazon or TNT absolutely has to be Alan Bestwick. And if it's not Alan Bestwick, we riot. We're rioting. We're all everybody that listens to the Scoreboard is going to head over to the NASCAR headquarters with our pitchforks, and we are going to demand that Alan Bestwick get back in the booth for NASCAR. My goodness, does he have the best NASCAR voice right now, in my opinion. But we'll see. We got plenty of time before we get to that. So coming up this weekend with Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol at 7 p.m. Let's hear from another driver, shall we? Here is Chase Elliott. What Chase Elliott has to say about how excited he is for the Cup Series to return to Iowa to race.
Been a long time since I've been out to Iowa, but I definitely I enjoyed going out there when we were racing there at that point in time. I assume it has not changed much. Back then, the track was super racy and really wide, but beyond that, the fan turnout was really, really good for like K&N races and truck races. And I know there was always a ton of chatter about everybody out there wanting a Cup race. You know, man, we want a Cup race. We want a Cup race. So I just hope that enthusiasm is still there. It's been so long since I've been there. I don't know. I hope all the folks that, you know, really wanted a Cup race come out and support the Cup race they got, because they got one now. So hope it's a good show.
I don't think there's going to be any problems with the turnout for Iowa this weekend. Look, NASCAR has made a little bit of a turn here in the attendance of their races. Coke 600 was sold out. And it wasn't one of those, oh, we sold all the tickets, but only half the people showed up. No, the Coke 600 was a true sellout. There were very few empty seats at that racetrack. Then last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, Gateway, Worldwide Technology, St. Louis, whatever you want to call it, it was announced as a sellout. And yeah, even though it looked like there were some empty seats, still a lot better than what we've been used to over the past, I don't know, even look at 4 years ago, right before COVID even. Because I know 4 years ago was the 2020 season. Nobody was in the stands 2020. What a weird year for sports. We really should have just shut it all down. But anyway, I'm curious to see what the attendance is at Iowa. I would expect it to be very high because it's been so long for those fans. But you never know. So we'll see. The weather outlook this weekend in Iowa, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. So we'll keep an eye on that. I won't be able to really tell you all that much as we get later on in the week. Because, well, like I said, I'm not going to be here. But just so you know, Saturday and Sunday, right now, it looks like there is rain chances in Newton, Iowa. Newton, Iowa is where the racetrack is. 35% chance of precipitation on Saturday. On Sunday, it's also 35, but this looks like an afternoon type thing. The race is a little later in the day on Sunday. It's going to be a hit or miss. It's going to be one of those races where maybe we get rained on, maybe we don't. I always say that every race needs at least the threat of rain, because it seems like the intensity instantly goes to 100. Just look at any Cup Series race at a super speedway when they say, hey, it might rain. The intensity goes up. So that's what we have this weekend in Iowa. One more driver that we're going to hear from is Josh Berry, the rookie. Here's what Berry says about his expectations for Iowa.
I'm not really sure. I think that, obviously they've had to do some work on the track, so it'll be interesting to see how that looks and is once we get there. But I think Iowa will be a really good track for the next-gen car, just with the progressive banking and just the different lane options that we'll have. I think it'll, maybe if, we'll just have to see how the patches are and how that all works. Hopefully that we can move around some and put on a good show. But I think it'll be a really, really fun event for sure.
I hope the progressive banking actually produces multi-groove racing. Sometimes we don't see that. Iowa, I would expect it, but you never know with this next-gen car, man. So the Iowa racetrack hosting a Cup Series race. Man, it is good to see that track get cars back out there in the Xfinity Series. Trucks aren't there this week, which is unfortunate. I do like the trucks at Iowa, but seeing Cup cars on the Iowa racetrack Sunday late afternoon, it's going to be fun. That's for sure. So there is your Cup Series update for the day. I'm sure tomorrow when you tune into the scoreboard and you hear Patrick Reynolds' voice, I'm sure he's going to talk about some kind of NASCAR. Maybe he'll talk some Formula One or IndyCar, talk about the three-place grid penalty for Sergio Perez for the Spanish Grand Prix, Will Power ending his winless streak. You're going to hear plenty of motorsports tomorrow, that's for sure. We're going to head to our next commercial break halfway through on the scoreboard here today. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. When we get back, we're going to get into some of the news of the day. We'll be talking basketball, hockey for the rest of the show. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be back right after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, we're locked into a really
844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. If you have something on your mind, something you want to talk about, maybe you can help me out with this medical stuff. Like I said, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but if you know what I'm talking about and you're a doctor and you want to call me up, let me know. 844-788-3464. I want to circle back to NASCAR real quick because this is in the news. This is big news everywhere, and that's Stewart-Haas Racing shutting down. What happens with the charters? Here is an interesting quote from a NASCAR team executive, not named, just a NASCAR team executive. Charter truth is going to be out there. Feelings are going to get hurt because no one actually wants to hear what they're really worth. Unless you're Jeff Bezos, it's never as much as you think. There's a lot of people that have problem with charters in NASCAR. A lot of the drivers. Dale Jr. has a problem with it. And I'm not surprised. You know, it's a ridiculous, hey, give us $20 million and you can get your foot into the door. Instead of, oh, you guys brought a car to the track? Sure, get on out there. Have some fun. Which is what it should be, in my opinion. But over the next few weeks, as we go through the remainder of the regular season and into the offseason, the conversation on charters is going to pick up. Now, in 2018, Furniture Row Racing departed NASCAR and they sold their charter to Spire Motorsports for $6 million. 3 years later in 2021, 2311 purchased Starcom Racing's charter for $21 million. Last year, Spire Motorsports bought another charter, this time from Live Fast Motorsports, and it reportedly cost them $40 million. So it's going up. And that's just to get your foot in the door. That's to have a spot guaranteed on the grid every single race. Front Row Motorsports is one of the teams that is looking to purchase one of these charters, as is Trackhouse Racing, who doesn't deny that they are working on a deal. Now, Denny Hamlin has a lot of things to say about the charter. Here's what he has to say. 2311 is interested in getting a charter deal done. On January 1st, 2025, we don't even have a charter. You can't buy or sell something that doesn't exist in our eyes. So we have 2 charters till the end of this year, and until we get a charter agreement done, that's all we have. I'm not going to put myself in a position to where I'm having to shell out millions and millions of dollars every year just to keep this thing going. So it has to make financial sense, and the charter agreement needs to be better than what it is, certainly before I invest any more money in it. This is going to be a problem, getting people to stick around, getting team owners to stick around. I've seen rumors of limiting charters to 3 per team. Now, if you're Joe Gibbs Racing, Rick Hendrick, you would be grandfathered in, so you would be allowed to continue your 4-team operation. But there's going to be a lot of things that change in the next few years with NASCAR. They just had their new TV rights deal. 4 networks, 7 years, $7.7 billion. We'll see what, and it's really sad. Stewart-Haas Racing, man. Imagine. Remember 2020 when Kyle Larson lost his job? Tony Stewart was all over him saying, I want him at Stewart-Haas now. He was still not eligible by NASCAR. They filled the spot. Larson ends up going to Hendrick, wins a championship, and now here in 2024, the charters for Stewart-Haas Racing are up for sale. What might have been had Kyle Larson been with Stewart-Haas Racing. Definitely would have put him in the 14 car. Why wouldn't you? I don't know how many people are sad to see Stewart-Haas Racing go. I'm very sad to see it go. Man, that was one of those upstart teams. Tony Stewart still driving for it, won a championship in the twilight of his career. Maybe the fans are enjoying NASCAR more, but it seems like everybody on the inside has more and more problems every year. One more segment to go on this Tuesday. We're going to talk about the NHL. Game number 2 last night. Maybe preview Game 3 in the NBA coming up tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Scoreboard, and we are back after this.
It's The Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And it's the final segment on this Tuesday. Final segment that I'll be with you this week. Yes, tomorrow you'll hear from Patrick Reynolds, host of the Home Ad Show. He'll be taking over the Scoreboard for me. I'll be out of town for the remainder of the week. But I will be back on Monday. Don't forget it. Okay. The NHL Stanley Cup Final. Game number 2. Last night, the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers boy, it went about as good as it could for those Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers, after losing game number 1 and to the New York Rangers, after losing the first 2 games of the series to the Rangers, have not allowed more than like 2 goals in a game in forever. Sergei Bobrovsky is on point right now. And if the series ended in 4 games, I would give him the Conn Smythe Trophy. I would just hand it to him now. He's having one of the best playoffs that I can remember. Last night, Bobrovsky stopped all but 1 of the 19 Edmonton shots. Final score 4-1 in favor of the Florida Panthers, who put 29 shots on goal. Only 1 power play goal was scored in this game. 10 power play attempts in the game. Oilers 0 for 4, Panthers 0 for 6. And there was a lot that happened in this game. It was chippy. There were some high hits. There were some elbows. There were some knees that were thrown. A 5-minute major was called. Okay, the 5-minute major on Warren Foegele. Former Carolina Hurricane Warren Foegele. I understand where people are seeing the issue with what Warren Foegele did. Because, yes, it did look like he turned his knee just a little bit. And maybe it's because I didn't grow up playing hockey on skates. I didn't grow up playing hockey at all, just so you know. But I have a problem seeing where the major penalty on this one was. Yeah, it was a pretty nasty play. It was a bad hit. But for Warren Foegele, I mean, it seemed to me like a hockey play. Now, there's no suspension that came along with this. It is just the ejection in period number 1. Now, that led to a 5-minute power play for the Panthers. But during the 5-minute power play, Sam Bennett took a tripping penalty. And during the 4-on-4 that ensued, Edmonton took the lead 1-0 on a Matthias Ekholm wrist shot. In the second period, Florida was able to tie the game, and then in the third period, the floodgates opened. Evan Rodriguez scored a couple of goals before Aaron Ekblad put in the empty netter to seal the deal. So now we move back to Edmonton, with the series sitting at 2-0 in favor of Florida. There's been very few times in the history of the Stanley Cup where a team has come back in the Stanley Cup final from a 2-0 deficit. I believe the most recent time was 2011 Bruins Canucks, if that sounds correct to anybody. I believe that was the last time that we saw a team come back from 2-0 to win the Stanley Cup. But I wouldn't count this one out just yet. In the Western Conference Final, I made the mistake of counting out the Oilers. They were down 2-0 to Dallas. Then they won 4 in a row to get themselves to the Stanley Cup final. So I wouldn't sit here and say, oh, they're done. Oh, it's over. They're never going to be able to make this comeback. They do still have one of the greatest players in the world on their team in Connor McDavid. They also have a lethal power play. It just has to find a way to get going. Hasn't gotten going yet. And their penalty kill is outstanding. Their penalty kill in the playoffs is over 90%. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So as we go back to Edmonton, just keep in mind, anything can happen. You know, you get a win, make it 2-1. Maybe you get a bounce your way in game 4, and then all of a sudden, it's a 2-2 series. It's best of 3. It's not impossible. Now, my prediction was Edmonton in 6. Yes, I know what I said. That's what happens when you make predictions with your heart and not your brain. My brain told me the Florida Panthers are going to steamroll this team. My heart, which is still broken, said, goodbye, Florida. You're done. You're not going to win. Well, we see how that one's going. I'm doing a lot better in the NBA. The Celtics up 2-0. I said they would win it in a gentleman's sweep in 5 games. We have a few injuries that we talked about. Kristaps Porzingis, he's questionable. Luka Doncic, he's going to play, but he's getting shots to numb pain. Also, by the way, I want to talk about this before we go. We only have a few minutes left. I'm going to change the tide a little bit here. Here's the headline. Sponsor conflict is keeping Joey Chestnut from hot dog eating contest. You heard me correctly. Joey Chestnut, the 16-time national champion of the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest, will not compete this year. Major League Eating announced Tuesday. I didn't even know there was an organization that did this. It's Major League Eating, the MLE, if you will. A spokesperson for the MLE told ESPN that Chestnut has chosen to represent another hot dog brand and therefore would not be allowed to participate in the Nathan's contest, which is held annually at New York City's Coney Island. So from what I'm reading, there is no real winner this year. It's just going to be whoever finishes second is going to be the winner. Right? Because who's beating Joey Chestnut? I think it's hilarious. Chestnut is reportedly agreeing to a sponsorship deal with Impossible Foods, a company that makes plant-based hot dogs, and a competing company to Nathan's famous hot dogs. It would be like Michael Jordan saying to Nike, I'm going to represent Adidas too. It's hot dog eating, man. Who cares? It's the Nathan's famous hot dog. Let him be sponsored by whoever he wants to. It's still the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. It's not the Impossible Foods hot dog contest. It's not the Nathan's hot dogs for everybody except Joey Chestnut. No, it's just the Nathan's. Who cares? I don't get this. Like NASCAR, right? Monster Energy is a sponsor. Can Red Bull also be a sponsor? Yeah, they can. So we're going to have no Joey Chestnut. I have a feeling there's going to be so much outrage on this that he's going to end up participating anyway. The record that he holds is 76 hot dog and buns in 2021. 76. Last year he ate 62, and he still won. Here's the quote. Here's my favorite quote of this. Joey Chestnut is an American hero, Major League Eating statement said. We would love nothing more than to have him at the Nathan's famous international hot dog eating contest, which he has dominated for years. We hope that he returns when he is not representing a rival brand. What a joke, man. That's an absolute joke. Joey Chestnut not in the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. Come on. It's not even a contest now. Can't have it without Joey. All right, we are coming up quickly to the end of the program. On this day, 1955, one of the biggest black clouds to ever come over the world of motor racing, the 1955 Le Mans disaster, June 11th, 1955. Where a car and large debris went into the crowd, killing 83 spectators, one driver, and injuring more than 120 people. That was on this day, 1955. Crazy to see how much safety has come in motorsports since then. I mean, if you see and there is video of it, I don't suggest that you watch it if you're queasy. But yeah, there was no protection there. And it's unfortunate. But I guess, when these bad things happen, we get better safety because of it. Look where we are now, still running Le Mans. Le Mans is this weekend, 10 o'clock on Saturday is when it starts. If you're interested, tune into that. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into the Scoreboard today. I will talk to you guys on Monday. Tomorrow, you'll hear from Patrick Reynolds. Have a great week, everyone. I'll see you later. Peace.